Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about a man whose very existence was, literally, a crime. A man who stared down incredible trauma and somehow found humor in it all. And then, at the peak of his career, he walked away from a dream job to chase something, well, something totally different. This is the story of Trevor Noah and his powerful ideas about what it really means to live. You know, Noah has this amazing metaphor for life. He sees it as a series of falling dominoes. One tiny event can change absolutely everything that comes after. It's a powerful way to look at your own life, isn't it? And while his story is just incredible, he's the first to say, hey, this is just one story. It's just one example of the wild, unpredictable forces that shape all of us. All right, so where does a story like this even begin? Well, the very first domino in Trevor Noah's life fell in South Africa, under one of the most brutal, oppressive systems you can imagine. Now, the truly chilling thing about apartheid wasn't just the big, obvious racism. It was the detail. It was this suffocating, bureaucratic system that controlled every single tiny part of your life. Where you could live, who you were allowed to love, even who your kid could be. Just let that sink in for a second. His birth was a crime. But here's where his mother's genius comes in. She managed to build a world for him where he didn't feel the full crushing weight of that. I mean, in public, she'd have to pretend to be his maid, just so they could be seen together. She was a master of navigating a system that was designed to destroy them. But, you know, that oppressive world, that was only one piece of the puzzle. His childhood was also marked by the deep trauma of domestic violence, and it all led to this one single moment that would change how he saw everything. And then, at 24, he gets the call, the one he'd always feared. His mother had been shot. But incredibly, she survived. The bullet went into the back of her head and came out her nose, missing every single vital part of her brain. The doctor, a man of science, looked at the scans and said he had only one explanation for it. It was a miracle. So how do you even process something like that? Well, for Noah, it became this double-edged sword. He calls it both a curse and a gift. The curse, a nervous system that's just always on, always hypersensitive, always on high alert. But the gift? Oh, the gift is this deep, profound appreciation for the people you love, for every single moment you get with them. Fast forward a few years, and that resilience he learned would get tested all over again, but in a totally different way. He was about to take over one of the most famous desks on television, and the battle he faced there taught him a powerful lesson about what it really takes to make it. So how'd it go at first? In his own words, it was absolutely terrible. I mean, he was stepping into the shoes of a legend, Jon Stewart, and the show's viewership just plummeted, a staggering 37% drop. And the backlash, it wasn't just, oh, he's not funny. It was personal. It was vicious. It got so bad, we're talking death threats, people calling for the show to be canceled every day, that he hit a breaking point. He actually turned to one of his writers and said, man, I think I should just quit. The pressure was just immense. But here's the thing, and this is so important. He didn't get through it alone. He survived because of his team. The people he calls his Sherpas, the ones who were right there with him, helping carry that weight, telling him to just stay, just hang on. And that experience just completely shattered the whole myth of the self-made person for him. He realized that no one, absolutely no one, achieves anything great all by themselves. Our success is always, always built on the support and the belief of other people. Which brings us to a really interesting question. After he turned the whole thing around, right? He's winning Emmys. The show is a digital powerhouse. So why on earth would you walk away from that? While the decision wasn't about being unhappy with the show or anything like that, it came from a deep, fundamental shift inside him about what a successful life actually looks like, a shift that was really sparked by the pandemic. You see, a late diagnosis of ADHD actually helped him make sense of these bouts of depression he'd get. He describes it as his brain getting stuck in this hyper-focus loop, just endlessly questioning the point of his routine, the point of anything, really. And for so many of us, the pandemic was like this giant pause button, wasn't it? It forced us to look at our lives. And for him, it just amplified those feelings. He saw just how much of his life, his friendships, his family, had been pushed to the side for his job. So he made a choice. He realized that if you want to grab onto something new, in his case, a life built around relationships, you have to be willing to let go of the old. The Daily Show was taking up all the space, and he was ready to put that energy back into his people. And this whole personal journey, this choice to put connection first, it led him to think about a much bigger issue. He believes we're actually in the middle of a social crisis, a crisis of loneliness, and it's hitting young men particularly hard. He points out this really interesting observation that a lot of guys need an excuse to spend time together. He calls it the third thing. You know, watching the game, playing video games, going fishing. He suggests that unlike women who have long practiced the art of just being together, a lot of men simply haven't built that muscle. So what's his advice? Well, for anyone who's struggling to build those bonds, he says to lean into that third thing. Find something you both like doing, and just let the connection happen naturally around it. It takes all the pressure off of having some big, deep, face-to-face talk. The goal is just the time together. But ultimately, for Noah, a truly great friendship is more than just hanging out. It's about finding those people who see the best version of you, the person you hope to become. And they're the ones who are constantly encouraging you to grow into that person. And that really gets to the heart of it all. Trevor Noah's entire story, from being born a crime to leaving The Daily Show, is really a challenge for all of us to look at our own lives. And it leaves us with this final, powerful question. Are we just spending our lives chasing the next achievement, the next domino, or are we building the connections that will actually be there to catch us when those dominoes fall?